Hey, this is Bram with 45 Creations, and today I'm going to show you how we made this poster for Adam Wakefield.
Blame it on me if it makes you feel better. Say I'm the reason that we couldn't stay together. It's mine.
So I used to make a bunch of posters for a concert venue in Georgia called Madlife Studios. It's a super cool venue. I actually went there and saw it. They have a patio. They also have a main stage where they film everything. Super cool place if you're in the Georgia area. So anytime I make a poster for a musician or a venue, anyone that hires me out, I mean, the obvious thing is to go dive into that artist's music and what they do. So Adam Wakefield is a singer-songwriter, blends in a lot of like country, soul, very much Chris Stapleton style music. Let's dive into how I made this poster here. So over here I've got a blank canvas and I did pull it all over. So let's toggle this stuff. I put this dark kind of textured background on here. I'll zoom in so you can see. I like using textures in everything. That's like the main theme of all the stuff that I do. It really adds depth to, two-dimensional graphics, because if everything's flat color, it can kind of wash out and not really have much oomph when you see it. Very important if you are going to make a venue poster or anything with a business, you really want to make sure you have that high quality version of the logo they have. I happen to have the raw file of it, so I've got the logo here. I made sure that it was up in the corner just because I didn't want it to take away from the full look of the poster. So let's dive into how this is made here. So the term that is used is called a clipping mask. If you want to take a photo and crop it in a certain dimension. So this here is a circle. So let me ungroup that to show what that looks like. You've got the picture here. So in this instance, I'm going to do it backwards. So you right click on here, release clipping mask. So here's what the full thing looks like. So you've got the main picture, and then you've got, I just wanted his head in there just because I wanted it to kind of just hone in on him, his look. So I made this little white line here so you can see it. All you got to do is you have to grab this here, and then you grab the picture. And then if I right click on this, I can do make clipping mask. And that's what gave me that circle. I didn't have to erase anything. I didn't have to, draw anything. It's as simple as you go up to your shape tool up here. You grab an ellipse. If you hold down shift, it'll make it a perfect circle. If you don't want it perfect, you let go of shift and you can kind of, pull it however you want. There's that way, or you can also click when you have this, and then you can put in the exact dimensions. So if I wanted a 5-inch by 5-inch circle, I would just do that, press enter, and then it's there. It's perfect. So we've got our circle here. The colors don't look necessarily bad, but if I'm going to match it with how the rest of everything looks, this is one of the colors from the color scheme that we pulled from before. So I have it on this circle, and if I go to appearance over here on the right panel, you go down to the opacity, and then you can do different types of opacity layers. There's all these different options here to choose from. I did saturation, so basically it just makes the whole picture a monotone version of that color. So when we pull that over the front, you'll see it kind of mutes it a little bit. So the next parts are, you've got this circle here, but it looks a little empty. It kind of blends into the background, so you want it to stand out. So I did these two circles here. I did one thick one on the inside and one thin one on the out. If you look at it up close, it looks pretty, simple and generic. But if you zoom it out and from far away, it almost looks like it's a border that has a little bit of depth to it. I do a lot of flat color stuff. I do a lot of two-dimensional stuff is what I like. I like the almost retro-y, vintagey look. I think it's just timeless. It really makes you want to look at it. So I don't add a ton of gradients and all that, but you can do natural, almost optical illusions of making it look deeper than it actually is. So you've got your two colors here. You've got the thick border, which I have at 7 points for the stroke, and then the outside border is 4 points. So adds a little depth to that. And that was made with that same circle tool. So you make your circle, you can actually click it. You can either fill it in, which here is the fill, if you wanted to change the color on that. But I have it without it because the subject's in the middle. And then next is this kind of Colosseum looking structure that I made on it. It's a concert, so you want to make it kind of grandiose. You want to make it like really exciting, fun to look at least for print marketing. You really want something that's to capture someone's eye and make them want to come in. So I thought it'd be kind of cool, make it look like it's almost like an old school billboard with my own type of twist to it. So I love doing a lot of stuff with lines because you can make things look three-dimensional. I mean, this is all flat, but these angles here, if you mirror them and you make them on both sides, it's going to give a 3-point perspective kind of look to it. So, and what I mean by that, if you don't know what 3-point perspective is let's say right here in the dead center is your main point. Then you're going to have lines that shoot out on either side, and as long as you follow those lines, you can make something look deeper or closer than it actually is without, actually having depth. So I did the same exact thing on the left side that I did the right side. I made these main lines. I had one sticking out from the main thick circle, and then I had these smaller lines from the smaller circle. I also put in these little stars here. If I didn't have these here, it would look a little empty. There's these little pockets that I couldn't really fit text in. And that's another thing about concert posters too, is you want to put information on there. So you don't want them to necessarily conflict with each other. So you want to have space for your words, but if you've got these little tiny pockets, a lot of times I'll throw stars or I'll throw dots. Kind of just fill the space a little bit so that it's not entirely empty. And then down here in the middle section is where that text was going to go. So I made the border first when I was making this originally, and then I put the text in. But in this case, we're going to look at it kind of backwards. We're looking at like mainly the structure. So these leading lines coming in here add more depth to the main structure, but also kind of close in the words so that, if we didn't have these lines out here, it would just be this big open weird space. Put the lines in there to really help add kind of almost arrows towards the words so you look right at the words when you see it. You've got his artist name up here, which you want to make pretty big because that's the focal point of the whole poster. And then Gods and Ghosts album release tour was the tagline. So you've got your main line and your tagline. They're both equally important, but you want it to be Adam Wakefield and this is the show, not like this is Adam and his show. Two same size texts, it just looks clunky. There's too much going on. So, and then down here is almost some like pillar styled made lines, and these are just as simple as taking the pen tool or the line tool if you want. Start at a point. If you hold down shift, it's going to make a perfect line. You can do that, and that's how those are made. I made them all pretty like right centered, so when you do stuff like this, it looks a little, it can look complicated from far away, but if you break it down to the very, very simple, small parts of the design, it makes it easier to focus on making that straight. Probably one of the things I struggled with the most when I first started doing graphic design is like, you have this really cool idea, but trying to make it all fit on the page sometimes can feel overwhelming. Like you've got so many different elements you want to pull in. So if you ever feel stressed out, or if you ever feel like you're hitting a wall, the best thing to do is just kind of hyper focus on a small area. So if we're looking at this here, this main structure, I made these little pillars, made it look almost like it's like kind of like a coliseum or it's being held up by something. So, but yeah, and then down here at the bottom, we're gonna have our main text in the top, and then we're gonna have the information for the show down here, just because that stuff is important too. But you want to make sure you really focus on that middle point. So if we go back over this entire thing here, we've got main subject up here. I starts up here. Then you kind of like trickle down. You see Adam Wakefield, Gods and Ghosts album release tour right there in the middle. And then you also have your supporting act. Bailey Luttrell was down here. And then at the very bottom, you've got the date, time, location, links that you can get to everything. But yeah, so this was a pretty simple line design. Kind of made it look almost like a pinball machine or a coliseum. Super fun to make. But yeah, I hope this was interesting and helpful in terms of trying to figure out how to make a design for someone. And thanks for watching.